Welcome back to the channel, guys. You've asked, so we are doing this. We are looking at the astrology for 2025 that really set us up for these celebrity downfalls. I made a joke that I made a video at the start of the year that got like 50 views. And I promised you I would redo it when I kept getting asked about what's the astrology of everything going on. And you guys have been DMing me, messaging me, leaving comments about this, the tarot cards. So let's do the astrology first for what kicked off the year, where we are right now. And then we'll pull some cards, not specifically on Blake and Justin, but just what do we expect going forward? Because let me tell you guys, it's about to get a lot bumpier this year before it gets better. This is a year of quite a bit of upheaval. This is going to be really gross. So if you're eating, maybe just don't eat while I say this. But this year reminds me of, for those that have horses, I have horses. We run a farm animal sanctuary, but I also have my old show horses on the farm. And we have chickens too. But it reminds me when you have like an abscess, an infection in a horse's hoof, because the hard capsule of the hoof, you have to like dig out the infection so that it can like come out. It kind of feels like what we're going through in 2025, not just for celebrities, but politicians and politics as well. There's going to be a lot of upheaval. Now, I don't talk about politics, so you can extrapolate what we're talking about today and apply it to politics all on your own. I don't even want to go near that with a 10-foot pole. But that's essentially what we were set up for at the beginning of this year. Is we had to go in, carve out all the structures that have been built up, all the falsity that have been built up, so that the truth, like the rot, can come out and the truth can come up. So anyway, I'm done talking about infections. You can start eating again. And we're going to dive into the astrology. So for those that are new to my astrology, I use a mix of esoteric astrology, Western astrology, and Uranian astrology. So it's usually very different and a different perspective. And I'm looking at different things than other people look at. It tends to really piss off classic Western astrologers, but that's how I do it. And it's why my readings are so badass. And why on this channel we tend to predict trends before they happen. So we're looking at it from just a unique, nuanced perspective. All right. Let's dive in, my friends. What we're focusing on first is Kronos and Hades. And we're not going to do a full reading from January 1st. You can see here it's January 1st. I want to look at the major players that set us up for what was to come. And arguably, I think one of the biggest years for celebrity downfalls, we had Diddy, Jay-Z was being dragged into it, Beyonce was being dragged into it, Taylor Swift is being dragged into the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni. We have a lot of shifting in politics, world politics, in my country. I know in different countries. I mean, there's just so much that has gone on in 2025 so far, and it's only April. So when we're looking at that, and especially shifts within politics or the economy or pop culture, so celebrities and public figures, we always want to look at what's going on with Kronos and Hades. Now, they move slow. So this isn't that it's going to snap your fingers overnight. It's like Mercury retrograde. Okay, what's the joke? One of my friends always said, she's like, Ash, are we in the oven right now? Are we in like Mercury in the oven, or what's going on with the oven? So it's not overnight like that with Kronos and Hades. It takes time. And this has been building up. It was building up in the end of 2024, and it's just coming to a head in 2025. There's shifts as well going on in human design, but I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information today. So we'll just stick with this. But this is really a big lead up to 2027. So we're going to start to see more and more structures falling, falsities fall, veils fall, etc., so that the truth can be exposed. And it's just going to get bumpier. But we're looking at Kronos and Hades. Those are two hypothetical planets from Uranian astrology. So you're not going to see them in like a Western astrology chart. All right, let's start diving in. Kronos and Hades. Now, the one thing I want to say is if we look at this, they're both retrograde in Cancer. Fourth house. Fourth house is the home. When we're looking at Cancer, especially, I want you to think of like the protective outer shell. But Kronos and Hades, fourth house is the home, hidden foundations, privacy, your inner circle. Kronos is false authority, institutional power, patriarchal legacy. And then we have Hades, which is like decay, the rot, taboo, karmic sludge being exposed, like this buried filth that's being exposed. Like it's just like I was talking about the infection in a horse's foot where it's just being exposed. Now, with that Cancer, again, I want you to think of kind of like that protective shell that's starting to crack. The secrets behind this like gilded cage, the gated mansions of the rich and famous are starting to be exposed. This year began with a crackdown on hidden abuse of power. Simple, like there's no other way to say it. Hidden abuses of power were exposed with Kronos and Hades. This as well, often when we're looking at Kronos and Hades' fourth house with Cancer, can be this feeling of like disguised around love or family or loyalty or protection. And so it was interesting looking back. And again, this is not stuff I'm just making up on the fly now. There are old astrology videos where I talk about it at the beginning of the year. It is interesting to look back on some of the stuff we got from Blake Lively's lawsuit, Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, and the text messages that were exposed, because what it looked like was, the dragons, not looked like, it was that protection, that loyalty, those friends, my inner circle is going to take you down if you're not on our side, but if you're on our side, we'll protect you. That the secrets held there are exposed. We're destined. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Blake and Ryan should have like hit me up for an astrology reading for the year or watched my channel. I don't know. But that was destined to be, sorry, I have the hiccups, destined to be exposed in 2025. The other thing that we're going to see here is the inner circle start to unravel. Now, we saw that again. And old shit. So we have retrograde, like old stories starting to show up. Interesting. I'm just thinking about this right now as I say those words. It's interesting because I had said recently that, Taylor Swift's team is losing control of the narrative. There were some articles that were coming out about her and Carly Kloss, I think. Interesting things coming out, like old stories resurfacing, old quote unquote conspiracy theories resurfacing around celebrities, around public figures, around politicians. What was done previously, careers, contracts, marriages in the childhood, secrets within inner circle, is all exploding. So this is what we're seeing, really the whole Hollywood system starting to crumble. And again, you can take this and apply it to politics. You can apply it to politicians. You can apply it to what's going on the world stage, because Hades and Kronos also apply to that. Interestingly enough, at the start of the year, I also said Kronos and Hades in this position, there's going to be issues with planes. That there was, and it shifted, they've shifted, and we'll see where they are now. They've shifted the house still in Cancer. But at the start of the year, I said there's going to be a lot of issues with planes and altitude. And shortly after I had that reading, what we got was a lot of issues with planes and these weird plane accidents and continuous plane accidents. So that's another thing you're going to see. And again, you can look back. I have reels on it and everything. That's another thing you're going to see with this position of Kronos and Hades, altitude. Because when we're looking at altitude, it's not just like those at the top. It's quite literally the planes at the top, right? Falling, being able to fall. So that was another thing that we would have really seen, and it was set up to be seen in 2025. I would say if there was a catchphrase or like a question that Kronos and Hades in the fourth house was really asking is, with the world looking in on your family table, at your diary, what'd you build this on? What'd you build this foundation on? How'd you actually get to where you are? And we genuinely are not being disappointed in Hades and Kronos exposing, what did you actually build this on? How did you actually get control of this movie? Why was Justin Baldoni actually put in the basement? It was not a year. It is the year of fuck around and find out. Celebrities and politicians are finding out due to all their fuckery in 2025. No joke. We also have in the 10th house, a sun with Pallas Athena. This energy is really interesting, especially 10th house, especially when we're adding in this Capricorn energy to this. Illusions, strategy, and pretty much a showdown. It's what did you build? How'd you build it? Karmic truths are coming to the table. They're erupting within that fourth house. And it's not, again, just celebrities, politicians, dynasties unraveling. There's a lot. I would even say this year, it'll be interesting to see shifts within, and this isn't something I'd said at the start of the year, but because I didn't really talk about it, I still don't really talk about it, but shifts within royalty could be another one. But dynasties as well, I would expect to see like big shifts in media. And the more I sit with that, it's interesting because Ryan Reynolds has Hollywood North coming up in Ontario. So it's really interesting. So I'm just also pulling cards as I talk. Really interesting to see how that goes. But it's going to be the end of either way. I'm like processing in real time based on everything that's been going on. Because Pallas Athena is going to be leadership, but Pallas Athena can also be a sketchy bitch. So Pallas Athena is who cursed Medusa. Athena had House of Athena. She's a strategist, very logical, really powerful leader, and she had priestesses. And Medusa, part of the contract, if you will, with being a priestess for Athena was celibacy. And I believe Medusa slept with, I want to say Poseidon off the top of my head. I can't remember, but I believe it's Poseidon. And so Athena, for breaking that vow of celibacy and for being so beautiful, cursed Medusa. And so now we know Medusa is like anyone that looked her in the eyes was turned to stone, and she had the snakes coming out of her hair. So, Athena's often seen as this pillar of perfected leadership and strategy, but she has a sketchy side. She has a super sketchy side. Yeah, she could be wisdom and patterns of justice or justice in and of itself, but there's a shadow aspect to her and she can be really sketchy. So I would say there's this big showdown in the 10th house, which is career, around, again, how is it built? How did you get here? And this karmic truth being brought to the surface, and anything that was false illusion being pulled down, anything that was curated manipulative power being pulled down, that shadow side of Athena, so that we can have the exposure of truth. We also have, and which is really interesting, is Pluto in Aquarius. So this is a big energy. We'll get into Pluto and Aquarius separately as well, but Pluto and Aquarius in the 11th house, hanging out with Altair and the moon, as well as Ceres. So this is really interesting energy for this. Now, Pluto is going to be your power, death, rebirth. Altair is leadership, unapologetic force, could even be seen as like military energy. It's really interesting energy for the Pluto in Aquarius. The moon is going to be like undercurrents of emotion, memory. It can be like the feminine. And the 11th house is going to be the collective, media, internet, the future, as just a basic bitch view of it. So I would say here, what we're looking at with the 11th house was really people no longer being hypnotized by the polish. We saw this in brands as well. So I work with a lot of personal brands building their business online. And the truth is 2025, even on a personal brand level, has brought down dynasties, has brought down some of the biggest brands that have been overly curated, overly polished, and just fake. People are seeing through it. People are seeing through the crap, and they're tired of it. So this energy that we're seeing here is really like pulling down of the veils. You're no longer hypnotized. Even in the content I've done around media and exposing media control and SEO manipulation and all of that, people are no longer hypnotized. People are seeing what's going on. And there's this emotional truth that's now the currency, this emotional authenticity and integrity in who you are. And here's the thing, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to agree with you, but who are you? And are you in alignment with that? And those that aren't in alignment with it, those that are being shady, aka Blake and Ryan, are going to be exposed and continue to be exposed. I honestly think that this is just the beginning. Now, Altair with the moon as well can be very interesting energy because it's like the collective coming together. not the military energy that Altair typically represents, which might be like quite literally military or war. It's more of exposing that Pluto, that crumbling of the structures and people coming together. And I've said this multiple times in 2025 that to me, Blake and Ryan, the one thing they've done really well is bring people together. Everyone's coming together from different political sides and different perspectives. Everyone's coming together in the search of truth. And that's going to be more of the theme as we go in 2025. And on the flip side of that, I would expect those currently in power trying to weaponize military, trying to weaponize uh, politics, that Altair energy against us. And we have seen that with Blake and Ryan, where they're like, but politics, but MAGA. And people are like, I'm not even American. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not MAGA. I don't even know what that is. Right? Like, I'm just a stand for truth. So I would say with Altair in this mix, yes, it's the people coming together, the people starting to stand up for what they believe in because the illusions are falling in 2025. Celebrities, public figures, politicians are being exposed. But I would say, and I actually said this on Popcorn Planet yesterday, be prepared for more attempts to divide us. Don't fall for it. That's what they want. But the people coming together can be enforcers of truth. If we uprise like this new media type, this new informed citizen, the citizen journalist, the creator-led exposés, the creator-led journalism and all of it that's currently going down Blake and Ryan, we can really take back the narrative ourselves. Now, the last thing I want to say about where we were before we touch on where we are now is the energy of the 12th house. Saturn especially. Saturn can, hurt. One of the things I also say in human design is Saturn kind of leaves you alone unless you're off track. Saturn can be kind of the judge and discipline is one of the ways we describe it in human design. Neptune as well. We also have Venus. Venus is in Aquarius, and Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces. We do also have the energy of the Aries point in the 12th house, which is interesting. And with the North Node in Aries in the 12th house. So I would say the major thing with this combination is, again, the same theme that we've been talking about for everything for the start of the year, which was systems collapsing, glamorized illusion collapsing. What was going on under the surface? 12th house can be under the surface. What was going on under the surface falling apart? Now, and this is going to make more sense when I upload what's going on with human design in the lead up to 2027. So bear with me here. I'll get you another video up explaining this even better. But what we've been under is what is called a tribal circuitry in human design. The collective's been under it, and it's built a lot of systems. So it's built, churches and banks and big pharma and all of that. And we were sold a dream. We were like, even Hollywood, we were sold like a very specific ideal and a very specific dream. And what's been hiding underneath all of this is decay. And even we're seeing like a lot of non-legit spiritual leaders fall. I would love to see Jay Shetty exposed again in 2025, but that might be. But aim high, aim high. I feel he's very protected in Hollywood. But anyway, Saturn here is saying like, prove it. Prove it. Are you a stand for truth? Are you going to stick with it as that rot comes up, as the illusions start to fail and fall apart? And Neptune's saying the veil it's lifting. And Saturn's going to keep asking you to prove it. What are you a stand for? Are you a stand for truth? Are you a stand for people taking back their power? Or are you going to be a sheep again? Saturn's going to keep asking you, prove it. What do you stand for? Prove it. What do you stand for? Do you give in when the going gets tough, or do you keep pushing? And then the 12th house is kind of here like, it's all happening behind the scenes until now. This energy of these bodies, these energetic frequencies in the 12th house, it's all been happening behind the scenes until now. We're bringing it out. We're exposing it. And this is why you're seeing things like in Canada, Justin Trudeau resigned. Taylor Swift, once more or less, other than that one era, untouchable. Now there's these threaded conspiracies and whispers of controversy that are coming through with her. Why influencers are being held accountable. like TikTok influencer and that TikTok psychic case. Oh my goodness. And the whole Brian Koberger of it all. And it was wild. She accused a professor at the university of being involved in the Koberger situation. It was wild, but she's being held accountable, even though she doesn't see it. She's being held accountable. But it's like shady dealings are being exposed. Authenticity is going to win. And all of these dealings, all of this shady shit that was done in the dark, whether it's shady because, someone was just doing it for clicks and they didn't care who they took down in the process, or doing it because, potentially, maybe allegedly, Taylor Swift was colluding with Blake so that they could get control the second it ends with us. All of it's being exposed. Now, Venus also in the 12th house, that's kind of that the divine feminine energy there. I would say one could be seen as at the beginning of the year, like beauty used as manipulation. Beauty in relationships used as manipulation or power plays. I really see that with Blake Lively. I also, when we look at beauty as manipulation, I do believe that Blake Lively's beauty and power as in terms of a power couple has allowed her to get to where she is, to be honest. Like, it's kind of created the monster. She's probably likely always got what she wanted. So that can be the shadow of Venus in the 12th house. But the power, the flip side of that coin of Venus in the 12th house with all of this other energy that we're feeling at the start of 2025 is, well, yes, but that's all being exposed so that the truth and true values can take hold. That true beauty, and I don't mean physical beauty, but true beauty. What are we actually appreciating in people? And for me, with the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds case, what I find people actually starting to appreciate is Justin's sensitivity and spirituality and unique views on things. So true beauty isn't just a beautiful person, although he is also beautiful, but it's heart, it's soul. Our shift in 2025 and what Venus is going to expose is, what does true beauty mean to me? What does true authenticity mean to me? For today's astrology, we're just going to look at Hades and Kronos to get a checkpoint on how we've shifted. So we know at the start of the year, we really had this big exposure happening. So I want to do a checkpoint for Hades and Kronos today. Hades and Kronos are hanging out in the second house. They're hanging out there with White Moon, Selena, and the moon. Now, when we're looking at the second house, can be anything from your personal relationship with money, values, material possessions, how you make your money, also to self-worth and how you manage your resources as well. And remember that Hades and Kronos are big in terms of not just celebrities, but I want you to think altitude, right? So politicians at the top, the economy can be a big one. Again, planes, although I don't really see in the second house planes being impacted the way they were earlier in the year. But this is going to be big for money and how money is managed being exposed. Celebrities or people losing a lot of money with this placement of Hades and Kronos in the second house. And I would say this would also represent there's something big that's going to be exposed. And I can't put my finger on what it is. And I just keep hearing Blake's name. There's something big coming. And I haven't pulled up the chart, so this is all hitting me in real time. And I know she said that she has lost a lot of money. Yeah. The pillar reverse. Something's happening. I don't know why I'm putting the card in front of my mic. As if you can hear the card. I don't know. Can you hear the frequency of the card? The pillar reverse. Judgment. And the Magician. I'm going to have to sit with that a little bit. But something big is going on in terms of money. I do keep feeling the economy with that. But again, I always try to avoid going into politics. But also Blake's name keeps coming up. The pillar is being taken away from her. I do not see the Judge. I mean, I'm always being open to being proven wrong, but I do not see the Judge. And I almost wonder if this is in regards to the motion to dismiss not being granted. And I just see her having to pay up or trying to make a settlement, trying to pay someone off. But again, this is all, her businesses are going to keep falling. She's going to keep having issues with her hair brand, with the alcohol. Like there's just going to be, I don't see Ryan's name coming up. It's all her that keeps coming up. So I would say that there's something going down. And I don't see, I don't know. I just have this feeling of Justin either is going to be offered a payout for this and a settlement. I don't foresee him taking it, but I do see money. Like money is like, I just see money draining when I think of her. And she's definitely, from what I see here, not going to be approved to have Justin pay her fees. When she made that snarky comment of, Steve Sorowitz is going to be living up to paying the $100 million, but not in the way he thought. I don't see it. And I think things are starting to set in with her because, again, we have that self-worth, your relationship with self, your sense of self that also lives here. I kind of see she's starting to have a come to Jesus moment on what's going to happen. I genuinely do not see her and Ryan staying together. But anyway, Hades and Kronos in the second house, Cancer, there's going to be big shifts. Stock market can be one big one here because, again, we want to think Hades and Kronos are big. It's, yes, self-worth, but self-worth to big stars. But also when we're looking at material management and possessions, how it's acquired, it falling, money. I'd say we're going through a bumpy time right now. Not just one country. This isn't specific to the US. I'm not even in the US. Just in general, I think we're going to be going through a bumpy time. But in terms of Blake, something's being ripped away. Do you think Ryan's leaving her? That could also be part of it. Started out with the fourth house, friends and family, everyone leaving her, the pillar being taken away, that judgment, the magician pulling. I feel like Brian Friedman's the magician, to be honest. I genuinely feel that. I don't know. Maybe he's going to leave her because if he left her, it's a big hit for money for her. All right, let's look at Pluto in Aquarius and just the significance of this as well, because that is a significant energetic frequency for 2025. Now, Pluto itself represents, again, beneath the surface, right? We started this year in 2025 looking at everything below the surface, all the rot, all the disease, all the infectious, the values and everything, secrets being exposed. Well, what happens when all of that, again, starts to build, and get released? That is what we're figuring out in 2025. Pluto's all about truth and power. It's about the clandestine plots, like what's going on below the surface, hidden agendas, systems that are oppressing people. All of that's coming to the surface. Pluto this year is asking us, what was it built on? What's really at stake? Who's really in charge? And what's really going on ultimately? Now, Pluto's last transit through Aquarius, 1778 to 1798, was era defining and very chaotic. And so that's why I keep saying things are going to get bumpier before they get better when we're looking at this energy. We're going to be seeing a lot of, again, remember Hades and Kronos, big. Yes, individual, but it's when we're looking at the individual, how the individual is impacted, it's someone high altitude. So it's someone big that's being impacted, not necessarily this energy of Pluto and Aquarius and Hades and Kronos isn't necessarily you and I, although of course we get impacted by it. And the way we're going to be impacted by it, or were impacted by it at the start of the year, was more of, oh shit, this is what goes on. Now I'm seeing below the surface. Now I know what's really going on. What we're likely going to see as we go in 2025 is collective upheaval continue, rebellion against centralized power. And centralized power doesn't just mean like politics or economy based, but centralized power even in Hollywood. So we're seeing that right now where people are starting to rebel against this idea that there's a few powerful elite and everyone has to bow down to them. Everyone's trying to push back about what happened with Justin Baldoni. So this is going to break down. Last time that we had this placement here, we had the American Revolution. Pluto entered Aquarius about 1778. So we had the US was already deep in, from what I remember from history, a war. But this was the time of, and it's not like a switch flips, right? Usually you're going to see the buildup prior to the switch in energy, especially for the outer planets. And then you can feel it a little bit afterwards as well. So we had that big turning point. We also had the French Revolution that went down during this time as well. The buildup and kind of like that explosion of what was below the surface and this reshifting of power. So we saw a lot of big shifts within government within the last Pluto in Aquarius. I feel like we're going to see big ones here. And I don't think it's just politics or the world economy. I think it's in Hollywood. What my hope is with Venus starting the year in that 12th house, where really we were starting to see the exposed, like where we place value, where we place and how we see beauty start to shift. My hope in terms of Hollywood is that Justin Baldoni is really a turning point for all of this, like just exposing Hollywood, exposing the secrets and getting all that filth out. My overall hope, although I don't think it's going to be 2025, I think this is a longer cycle, is things do start to shift in Hollywood where those that are genuinely good start to be truly recognized. And those like Ryan and Blake, who got to where they are through manipulation and lies and veils and hidden secrets of Kronos and Hades in the 4th house, are taken down. I'm not fully optimistic 2025 is the year that Ryan's going to be negatively impacted by this. I think Blake's going to be the one that feels it the most. I do think he's probably going to leave her, if I'm being honest, not till after the trial, because you don't imagine spousal privilege goes if you get divorced. I doubt they're living together. I doubt they have much to do with each other other than for publicity and for looks. But that's my hope for 2025. Now let's pull some cards. All right, let's pull some cards and see what's going on for, well, I'd say the collective, but we're starting to pull all the familiar faces for Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds. So it looks like we're pulling for Blake, Ryan, and Justin, guys. All right. Let's do this. All the familiar cards are coming out for these guys that we've seen. If you watch my tarot pulls, oh, the sun is setting for Blake and Ryan. Blake specifically. Again, I don't think Ryan's going to be massively impacted just yet. But it looks like that's who we're pulling for, because these are all the familiar characters when we've ever pulled for them. All right. Sun setting. So Blake, she's not going to get what she wants. Sun setting and death. I think she's going to continue to get exposed. I think that Kronos and Hades is coming for her. Like the karmic cycles that we are in are coming for her, and judgment's coming. Okay. So for Blake, the rain is ending. Death, the snakes. All right. So that's Blake. I would say for her, especially with those cards, I have a pile here. So we'll circle back to her as we work through everything. But those were the first ones that were pulled for her. We need to get like a good setup, guys, for the tarot pulls. Justin. How do we know it's Justin? Well, we've always pulled the Hermit for him. Not entirely sure why the Hermit has always represented him since we've been pulling tarot cards since January for him, but the Hermit. But it's right side up. When this first went down and the accusations first hit, he was always reversed. Now he's right side up. Now, the moon is the second card that is in the pile for him that represents Justin. The moon reversed, it can represent dealing with illusions, fears, and anxieties due to negative influences. Sound familiar? I mean, that's no surprise, right? I don't doubt that he's dealing with a lot of emotions, probably anxiety with everything that's going on. He's been dealing with a lot of crap from Blake and Ryan, and no one wants to be in a lawsuit. So I have no doubt about that. However, when we're looking at the moon reverse, it can show that those energies are subsiding. And the reason why I'm going to say that they are, that he's starting to feel a lot better every day and how this goes and how this lawsuit's playing out is the anchor. I love these cards. Is the anchor. So when we're looking at the anchor, it's that tenacity at reaching a goal or like, well, I want you to think of an anchor, right? For a boat, it's like dropped into the ocean. Not only that tenacity in reaching the goal, I feel like he's not as nervous about it as he was in the beginning. Even in those text messages we saw, he said, I don't really feel secure with the plan. I feel like he's the anchor showing he feels a lot more secure with Brian's plan and how things are going, but it also represents anchors around him. I imagine he's surrounding himself with people that have his back. So that's Justin. So yes, a lot of emotions, anxieties, but he's doing better. He's anchored in the plan. He has the tenacity to see it through. Also with the anchor, again, I don't foresee them settling. He has everything to lose if he settles. I don't see him settling. I think he's anchored in. He's ready to see it through. Now, this pile, interestingly enough, the one leading it, and another reason why I said, okay, well, we got all the familiar cards here to know who exactly the cards are speaking to, the Lovers. So this was always representing Blake and Ryan. Originally, when I started pulling for them, I was like, I don't know. I feel like things aren't good for them. And I don't know if the Lovers, but it kept coming out representing the two of them. So this is in regards to Blake and Ryan. Ruler of coins. So this is going to be the king, right? So the ruler of coins is going to be the king. So it's talking about Ryan. There's the card there. And I would say that if we're looking at this card from the perspective of them, it typically would show financial prosperity. It typically would show successful business ventures. However, the Fool reversed. And this is why you always want to look at it in terms of the whole picture, right? Even, astrology, when I'm reading someone's natal chart, you want to look at the whole picture. Body graph, you want to pull it together to the whole picture. Even with the cards, because that would show the king, Ryan, having a lot of financial security and abundance coming up. But the Fool reversed. And that's going to tell me that he's taking too many risks and he's acting recklessly right now. And he's trying to live in the moment and even seem unbothered. And I think that really is confirmed with a lot we see from him and Blake right now is they're trying to look unbothered. Like this is totally cool. We're totally good. I swear, I promise. Trust me. But the Fool reversed, I would say the big thing for that as well. Sorry, I'm dropping my cards all over myself. Things are about to crumble, I would say. With this, keep in mind he just had, was it 20th century, I think, that big signing. I think that's been in the works for a long time. I also believe that when they released the news of him having that inking that big deal, they did it on a Thursday evening. So they were trying to keep it under the radar. It wasn't something they wanted to really broadcast, or they would have done it earlier in the week. So I do feel that a lot of people attached to him are regretting attachments to him. The Fool reversed. I also feel Wrexham. Something's going to go down with Wrexham. Money-wise. There's bad decisions being made. Yeah. I just think there's something going on. The Sovereign of Swords, which will also be the king. So this is a lot of things going down with Ryan. Interestingly enough. This can show someone that's power. ability to think critically, make sound decisions, but he's not right now. He's making rash decisions. I genuinely feel with the cards that we're pulling, something was going down with money, and he's trying to make decisions to catch up, to fix it. Well, now we know he has like the $400 million lawsuit, but even aside from that, there was something going down with money, and he was making rash decisions to try and fix it. And now, yeah. And it's emotional instability. The Eight of Cups. And that emotional instability, I feeling with what we're pulling for Ryan is like this difficulty in managing emotions right now. So again, he's making those rash decisions, but there's also like this emotional manipulation thread that keeps coming through with him as well. It's big change, guys. Big change, significant shifts with him. I would say, where's the ones I pulled for Blake? Let me just see. Where did I put them? Oh, I don't know where I put the ones I drew for Blake. Anyway, when we combine, now that looking back, combining what we saw with Blake, there's a lot of letting go and moving on. And combining all of this, I do wonder if there's a divorce coming. Significant shifts, transitions, emotions are high. Whereas Justin's anchored. Justin's good. Yeah, he's a little bit nervous. Oh, there's the ones I put for Blake. He's a little bit nervous, sure, but who wouldn't be? He's a little anxious, sure, but who wouldn't be? I'm starting to think when we combine what's going on with Blake, with the endings, the disillusionment, new beginnings, Eight of Cups reverse can also be like willingness to leave something familiar. I think there's something going on with the two of them. I genuinely think there's something going on with the two of them. He's trying to restore balance. So Two of Coins. It's a lot of cards for Ryan around decisions. And for Blake around like death and not literal death. And the sun setting, judgment. I think he's judging her too. I think his hand was all up in this, but I think he's judging her. He's pissed at her. I think there's going to be a divorce. Ruler of Wands, the king again. Yeah, he's making impulsive decisions, lack of leadership, emotions, controlling, manipulative behavior. Usually, like if you're pulling the Ruler of Wands reversed, which is also the King of Wands reversed, it's like cautioning you're being too arrogant. You're making decisions too fast. You're not thinking it through. Take a seat. I just looking at the astrology too. Am I even sharing it? No, let's pull it back up. Thought I was sharing it. Sorry, guys. Just looking at the astrology here. When we're, it's interesting, right? So when we see the Kronos and Hades, and I don't think they are going to get divorced before the trial. I would be shocked. That's it. Just looking that second house, Hades and Kronos, money. And we just saw for Ryan a lot of bad decisions, rash decisions, potential for money issues. I think they were having a lot of issues. I do wonder, based on this, with Hades and Kronos in the second house and everything we pulled for the two of them, if even maybe getting It Starts With Us and more money off of, see, yeah, I keep pulling the Lovers. More money off of this franchise was supposed to save them in some way. Not them in terms of the relationship. I just feel like there was something going on money-wise, and there were already issues with them, and this was kind of going to be their saving grace. Again, the Fool. They made Death again. Judgment again. The Sun again. Reversed. And I've been sitting here. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's what I have for you today. I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes with Ryan and Blake right now. I don't think they're together. And I think definitely it ends with us. The motive was financial, which I really believe we all knew anyway, but the motive was financial. I almost wonder to support other projects, maybe to fix a financial situation, not necessarily fix the relationship. I think this relationship's going, or this issue is going to be the death of the relationship. They're struggling over there, but Justin is doing better. He's anchored. Yeah, he's going through anxiety, but who wouldn't? All right, guys, let me know your thoughts in the chat. Something big's going on with Blake and Ryan. I'll pull again for them in a couple of days, see if there's any clarity around it. But I would say there's something going down. Justice. Hades and Kronos are bringing justice this year. All right, my friends, let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.